Under the cloudy skies of Cleveland, Ohio, Haley Wilson gazed out the window of her office. As she looked at the sky that threatened rain, memories of the past naturally came flooding back. It had been 25 years since her father Frank passed away on her 10th birthday. Haley's life had changed dramatically. From the day after her father's funeral, the little girl was forced to suddenly become an adult. Watching her mother Doris collapse in tears while embracing her younger sister Amy, Haley made a decision. She was the only one who could support this family. "Haley, could you do a final check on Mr. Fredrickson's tax returns?" Her colleague David's voice brought her back to the present. Haley smiled, nodded, and returned to her desk. It had been 7 years since she had put up the sign for Wilson Accounting. Though small, it had grown into a trusted firm in the community. The path of majoring in accounting in college, training at a first-rate company, and then becoming independent was by no means smooth. In particular, she had almost no support from her family. "Haley, you really can't manage an office on your own," her mother had said. "You should just keep working at a stable company." To Haley's ears, her mother's words always sounded like, "Impossible, you can't, give up." But her father Frank was different.
"Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube, all from home? That's exactly what I did with Reddit stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious."
He would always look into his daughter's eyes and say, "People will tell you it's impossible. But that's their limitation, not yours." With those words etched in her heart, Haley kept moving forward. During high school, she maintained excellent grades while working part-time at a supermarket. She went to college on a full scholarship. She worked after school and on weekends to support her family's finances. Amy, however, was different. She was always the recipient of Doris's affection, called the family jewel. Whatever Amy wanted, she would get, no matter how tight the family budget was. Dance lessons, brand-name clothes, summer camps. While Haley learned to restrain herself, Amy came to believe that her desires should always take priority. "Sis, you only know how to work, not how to have fun," Amy said when she was in her 20s. "You have to enjoy life more." Behind those words, Haley didn't know whether the two of them realized that her income was supporting both her mother and Amy's lifestyle. After graduating from college, Amy never took a stable job, bouncing between part-time work in customer service and office jobs. Her phone vibrated on the desk. It was a call from her mother. Haley hesitated for a moment before answering. "Mom, what is it?" "Haley. Wonderful news." Her mother's voice was trembling with excitement. "Amy is engaged." Haley couldn't hide her surprise. She didn't even know her sister had been in a serious relationship. Congratulations. Who's the lucky one?" "His name is Marco. A wonderful young man. He's a real estate developer and very successful." Doris's voice was filled with pride. "He'll take her to an even more wonderful world." "I see," Haley replied flatly. This was the pattern of her life. Amy's success and happiness were always at the center of the family, while Haley's achievements were always pushed aside. "And, Haley," Doris's tone changed. Haley immediately sensed it. She was going to be asked for something. "About the wedding." "Just as I thought," she mused. Haley took a deep breath and waited for her mother's words. "Amy dreams of a wonderful wedding. But we don't have enough funds." Doris continued, choosing her words carefully. "You're a successful businesswoman, aren't you? Could you help a little with your sister's once-in-a-lifetime special day?" From the other end of the phone, Amy's voice could also be heard. "Sis, please. I want to have a beautiful ceremony." Haley silently looked out the window. A ray of light was breaking through the gap in the gray clouds. What advice would her father give if he were here? "How much do you need?" she finally spoke. "About $30,000, I think," Doris answered casually. "That's not a big amount for you, is it?" Pain shot through Haley's chest. $30,000. That was the money she had been saving for the expansion of her office. But this is what family is, isn't it? No matter how much they hurt you, blood ties aren't easily severed. All right, Haley answered quietly. I want to attend the ceremony and see Amy's happy face. Of course. I'll send you the details later, Doris said joyfully. Amy, Haley is going to help us. She could hear her sister cheering in the background. Haley gently hung up the phone and looked out the window again. As she closed the email confirming the money transfer, a faint anxiety sprouted in Haley's heart. The sum of $30,000 was by no means small for her. It would delay her office expansion plans by at least a year. But more than that, what made her anxious was the reaction from her mother and sister. An hour had passed since she sent the message, "I've transferred the money," but there was still no reply. Haley stared at her mobile phone, aware that her expectations were foolish. She wasn't seeking words of gratitude. She just thought there should be some kind of response. A text from her mother finally arrived in the evening. Confirmed. Thank you. That was all. Nothing from Amy. Haley sighed and returned to work. She tried to concentrate on her client's file, but somehow her thoughts kept turning to the wedding. She still hadn't been told specific information like the date or venue. The next day, Haley gathered her courage and called Amy. "Hey, when is the wedding going to be?" she asked cheerfully. "Oh, we haven't decided yet," Amy's voice sounded somewhat rushed. "We're looking at a few venues. But don't worry, I'll let you know when it's settled." "Is there anything I can help with?" Haley offered. "Like preparing invitations?" "No, it's fine. Mom said she'll arrange everything." "Oh, sorry, I have to go out now. Talk to you later." Before the call ended, Haley thought she heard the laughter of several women in the background. She decided to believe it was her imagination. A week passed, then another week. Still, no details about the wedding were shared. Every time Haley called or sent a message, the answers were always, "Not decided yet," or "Busy." On a Saturday 3 weeks later, Haley was looking for a dress at a local boutique. Though she hadn't been told the date of the wedding, she thought she'd better get prepared. She found a beautiful emerald green dress, and when she tried it on, it fit her body perfectly. "That's a lovely color," the shop assistant said. "Is it for a special occasion?" "My sister's wedding," Haley smiled. "The date isn't confirmed yet." As she was leaving the store, she happened to run into Brittany, Amy's best friend. "Brittany!" Haley called out. "It's been a while." "Oh, Haley." Brittany had a slightly surprised and troubled expression. "How are you?" "Fine. I just bought a dress for Amy's wedding." Haley showed her shopping bag. "Have you seen Amy? She must be busy with wedding preparations." Yes, I saw her." Brittany averted her gaze, seeming uncomfortable about something. "She was very busy." "Do you know anything? When might the ceremony be?" "I don't really know." Brittany suddenly looked at her watch. "Sorry, I have an appointment. See you." She hurriedly left. Haley felt something off about Brittany's attitude but shrugged and headed home. Surely she was just busy too. That night, Haley checked Amy's social media. Recent uploads included photos of dress fittings, cake tastings, and what appeared to be venue inspections. Her mother Doris and friends including Brittany were tagged in these posts, but there was no mention of Haley. She was providing the funds for the ceremony, so why couldn't she be involved in the preparations? She had naturally thought she would be included as family. The next morning, as Haley was drinking her coffee, she finally received a text from her mother. "The wedding is next Saturday, 3 p.m. at the Grand View Hotel." That was all it said. No formal invitation or announcement. Haley immediately replied. Got it. I just bought a dress too. Is there anything else I should know? Like the flow of the ceremony, or when is the rehearsal dinner? Her mother's reply came after a while. You'll see when you get there. I'll let you know about the rehearsal later. Haley frowned. She felt like she was being treated as an outsider. Still, she told herself, they're just busy. Wedding preparations are demanding. Perhaps Amy was confused by this first-time experience. That week, Haley made a hair salon appointment and prepared a small gift. It was a silver bracelet with "Always Love" engraved on the inside. This was a phrase she and her sister had exchanged since childhood. On Friday night, Haley sent another message to Amy. I'm all set for tomorrow. What time should we meet in the morning? Let me know if I can help with makeup or hair styling. An hour later, Amy replied. Everything's already arranged. Just come to the hotel at 3 p.m., that's enough. Haley felt a small thorn in her heart. Wasn't it normal to prepare together from the morning on her sister's special day? Still, she didn't argue and replied, understood. Looking forward to it. On Saturday morning, Haley woke up early. Outside the window was a clear sky with a refreshing May breeze. She took her time having breakfast, showering, and doing her hair and makeup. Satisfied with her appearance in the mirror, she put on the emerald green dress. With its elegantly cut shoulders and a length that reached below the knees, it emphasized her refinement. Looking at the clock, it was still noon. Though the venue was about a 40-minute drive away, she still had plenty of time. Sitting on the sofa and drinking coffee, she fought against an unsettled feeling. Checking Amy's social media again, she found a photo posted last night. With the caption, "Pre-wedding party," it showed Amy, her mother, Brittany, and other friends smiling and toasting. Haley froze. A pre-wedding party. Why wasn't she invited? She took a deep breath. It must have been a small gathering of close friends, she told herself. The main event today is what matters. However, deep down, the feeling that something was terribly wrong grew stronger. The Grand View Hotel was one of the most prestigious buildings in Cleveland. Built in the late 19th century, it combined classical architectural beauty with modern facilities, chosen by many wealthy families as a wedding venue. When Haley's car arrived at the hotel's circular driveway, her heart was pounding. After handing her car to the valet and taking the small gift bag, Haley stepped into the hotel lobby. The space, with crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling and marble floors echoing footsteps, was filled with grandeur and elegance. Which way is the wedding? Haley asked the valet with a smile. The Wilson wedding, ma'am. The valet looked a bit thoughtful and pointed to the reception desk in the lobby. Please check at the reception. Haley nodded and walked toward the reception with an elegant smile. Her emerald green dress blended well with the luxurious atmosphere of the hotel, drawing admiring glances from passers-by. She was glad she had chosen this dress. Amy would surely be pleased. The woman at the reception desk saw Haley and offered a professional smile. Welcome to the Grand View Hotel. How may I help you? Hello, Haley responded brightly. I'm here for the Wilson wedding. The ceremony for Amy Wilson and Marco Calderi. The receptionist's expression changed. Confusion and bewilderment appeared as she checked her computer screen. The Wilson wedding, you said? Yes, I was told it would be at 3 p.m. today. The woman checked her computer further and looked up at Haley again. This time, her expression was clearly troubled. I'm sorry, but the wedding of Ms. Wilson and Mr. Calderi took place yesterday. It was at 3 p.m. yesterday. For a moment, Haley doubted her own ears. No, that's a mistake. It's today. I'm the bride's sister. The receptionist checked her computer again and shook her head apologetically. According to our records, the wedding of Amy Wilson and Marco Calderi was indeed held yesterday. It was a lovely ceremony. I was on shift, so I remember it. The blood drained from Haley's face. Her knees began to shake, and for a moment she felt as if the lobby was spinning. This must be some kind of mistake. Or a bad joke. That's impossible, she said in a trembling voice. I was invited. I have a message from my mother. She took her mobile phone out of her handbag and checked the message from her mother. The wedding is next Saturday, 3 p.m. at the Grand View Hotel. Today was definitely Saturday. And now it was 2:20 p.m. Haley showed her phone to the receptionist. Look, it says right here. The receptionist looked at the screen with a sympathetic expression. The phrase, next Saturday, is relative. When was this message sent? Haley checked the date. The message was indeed sent last Sunday. Technically, her mother's next Saturday referred to yesterday. But it was an intentionally confusing way of putting it. This is some kind of mistake, Haley said desperately. Could you please check again? The receptionist smiled kindly. Of course. She operated the computer again and took out a printed paper. This is the reservation list for yesterday. It's listed here. Wilson Calderi Wedding, Grand Ballroom, from 3 p.m. And the ceremony was held as scheduled. Haley stared at the paper, but the letters seemed to dance before her eyes. This is a nightmare, it has to be. She took a deep breath, trying to regain her composure. Thank you, she said in a small voice. May I sit down for a while? Of course, the receptionist pointed to a seating area in the lobby. Please, over there. Would you like some water? Haley nodded and staggered to the indicated place. Sitting on the luxurious velvet sofa, her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Various possibilities raced through her mind. Had she got the date wrong? No, she had checked her mother's message multiple times. Maybe the hotel's records were wrong. But the receptionist said she had actually seen yesterday's ceremony. The receptionist brought a glass of water. Are you all right? Should I contact someone for you? I'll do it myself, Haley answered, taking out her cell phone. With trembling fingers, she found Amy's contact and pressed the call button. The ringtone began. After the fourth ring, the call connected. Haley. Amy's cheerful voice could be heard. In the background were the sounds of waves and people laughing. Amy, Haley said, almost choking. I'm at the Grand View Hotel right now, and when I asked about the wedding. Oh, Amy's voice had a tone not of surprise, but of slight inconvenience. You're at the hotel. Yes. The receptionist says the wedding was yesterday. Haley couldn't continue. After a brief silence, Amy's laughter echoed through the phone. That's right, it finished yesterday. It was a beautiful ceremony. Everyone enjoyed it. Haley couldn't believe her ears. But, why? I thought the ceremony was today. In the message you sent. Oh, did you misunderstand? Amy's voice conveyed more ease than apology. We did say, next Saturday, but from last week's perspective, that meant yesterday. Anger and sadness surged in Haley's chest. Why didn't you tell me the exact date? Why didn't you invite me? I gave $30,000. Amy brightly interrupted. Thank you so much. Thanks to your funds, we had the best ceremony. Right now, I'm enjoying the honeymoon in Hawaii with Mom and Marco. In the background, Doris's laughter could be heard. Haley. Is that her on the phone? Tell her thank you. Haley froze, unable to move. She felt as if she had been cut off from the world. Her hard-earned $30,000 had been used for a wedding from which she was excluded. And now, her mother and sister were living it up in Hawaii with the groom, using her money. Amy. Haley forced out the words. Why? After a brief silence, Amy's voice was heard again. This time in a quieter, more calculated tone. To be honest, Haley, I thought your presence would ruin the atmosphere. Always so serious and stiff. I didn't want you to spoil my special day. Those words stabbed Haley's heart like a knife. Desperately holding back tears, she finally managed to say, "Enjoy yourselves." With that, she ended the call. Haley stood alone in the grand lobby of the Grand View Hotel. Her perfectly styled hair, carefully chosen dress, and small gift bag. Everything now seemed like a cruel irony. A tear streamed down her cheek. She didn't know whether it was a tear of anger or sadness. Not knowing where to go, Haley simply got into her car and gripped the steering wheel. After a while, she found herself calling her friend Laura. "Laura, can we meet now?" Her voice was so empty she barely recognized it herself. "Haley? What's wrong? How was the ceremony?" Laura's voice was tinged with worry. "The ceremony didn't happen," she answered shortly. "I'll explain. Can we meet?" 30 minutes later, Haley was sitting on Laura's apartment sofa. Still in her dress, with makeup smeared across her face, she told her everything. Laura listened silently, occasionally showing expressions of anger. "Those damned!" Laura shouted as soon as the story ended. "They committed fraud. You should sue them." Laura worked at a law firm. Her sharp eyes burned with anger. "Fraud?" Haley said in a tired voice. "They're my family." "Being family doesn't excuse this kind of treatment," Laura said firmly. "You gave them $30,000 with the promise of attending the wedding. They broke that promise. This is a clear breach of contract." Haley gazed out the window. "Right now I just can't believe it. I can't understand why they would do something like this." Laura sat on the sofa and took her friend's hand. "It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. But don't let them get away with this." However, Haley's eyes were dry. Something inside her had frozen. Something colder and sharper than sadness occupied her heart. That night, Haley stayed in Laura's guest room. Unable to sleep, she took her smartphone and checked Amy's social media. There, wedding photos were being uploaded one after another. A photo of Mother Doris helping adjust Amy's wedding dress. A photo of Marco and Amy standing at the altar. Scenes of the lavish party at the reception. In none of the photos was there any mention of Haley, as if she had never existed. The comments section was filled with phrases like, "wonderful ceremony," "best day," and "special time with family." The words, "special time with family," in particular, pierced her heart. The next morning, when Haley woke up, Laura had already prepared breakfast and spread some documents on the table. "Good morning," Laura said in a determined voice. "I did some research last night." Haley tilted her head as she accepted a coffee. "Research?" "I've made an appointment today with attorney Michael Jenkins. He's an expert in civil fraud." Haley couldn't hide her confusion. "Laura, do you really want to pursue a lawsuit?" "It's just a consultation for now," Laura said. "Also, I think you should review the financial situation of your accounting firm. If your mother did this to you, she might have done something else." At those words, Haley's body tensed with stress. It was a possibility she didn't want to consider. But from years of experience, she knew that turning a blind eye to uncomfortable truths solved nothing. "All right," she finally said. "Let's meet the lawyer." That afternoon, Haley and Laura were sitting in Jenkins' law office. The lawyer listened carefully to Haley's story. "There is indeed the possibility of a civil lawsuit," he said at the end of the conversation. "Do you have evidence of the transfer? Also, any evidence that you provided the funds on the condition of being invited to the wedding?" Haley took out her phone and showed the text exchanges with her mother. In particular, she pointed to where she had written, "I want to attend the ceremony and see Amy's happy face," and her mother had replied, "Of course. I'll send you the details later." "This is good evidence," the lawyer nodded. "At the same time, Ms. Wilson, I recommend checking the financial status of your accounting firm. In family relationship troubles, one problem often suggests others." Following those words, Haley decided to investigate the financial records of her accounting firm in detail. She and her accountant David spent 3 days thoroughly examining records from the past 5 years. The results confirmed Haley's worst fears. There have been multiple small withdrawals under Doris Wilson's name over a long period, David reported gravely. They were cleverly hidden, but the pattern is clear. In total, it amounts to about $22,000. Haley was stunned. Her mother had been stealing from her not just for the wedding, but for years. "How?" she asked in a hoarse voice. "Do you remember registering your mother as an accounting assistant when you first started the firm?" Haley had forgotten. When she was just starting her business, she had given her mother a small role and paid her a salary to help her out. Her mother didn't actually do much work, but Haley didn't mind. However, her mother had used that position to withdraw small amounts of funds little by little. With evidence in hand, Haley returned to Attorney Jenkins. He reviewed the materials and nodded. "Clear evidence of fraud and embezzlement. You can file a civil lawsuit, and in some cases, criminal charges are possible." "Criminal charges?" Haley gasped. "This could mean my mother goes to prison." "That's a possibility," the lawyer said quietly. "But that decision is yours." Haley gazed out the window. The soft May sunshine illuminated the city. In the memories that surfaced in her mind, there was a time when her mother and sister loved her. Or was even that an illusion? "Civil lawsuit first," she finally said. "And there's an investment account that my mother and Amy have joint names on. Can we freeze that?" The lawyer smiled slightly. "Of course." On the final day of their Hawaiian honeymoon, Amy, Mother Doris, and Marco were drinking cocktails by the resort's poolside. "Any word from Haley?" Marco asked, seeming a bit concerned. "Nothing at all," Amy shrugged. "She's probably still angry. But she'll calm down eventually. She always does." Doris nodded. "Haley has always been too responsible. I wish she would learn to enjoy life someday." The three laughed and raised their glasses. On a snowy Christmas Eve, Haley's townhouse was wrapped in warm light. A year had passed, and her life had changed dramatically. Wilson Financial Consulting had expanded, opening a new office. With 3 new staff members, it had established a reputation as one of the most trusted accounting firms in Cleveland. "Haley, is this okay?" Jessica, who was decorating the Christmas tree in the living room, called out. She was a young woman Haley had met through a local foster support organization, striving for economic independence. Haley had become her mentor, and what began as weekly dinners and basic accounting lessons had now grown into a deep bond. "Perfect, Jessica," Haley smiled. "Your sense is always wonderful." Michael peeked out from the kitchen. He was a middle school math teacher who volunteered at the same support organization and had been dating Haley for 6 months. "The turkey will be ready soon. It should be finished before everyone arrives." Tonight, Haley planned to host a Christmas party for the young people from the support organization. For her, this was the true form of family. Not blood ties, but relationships built on mutual respect and support. The trial had concluded 3 months ago. Haley had won the civil lawsuit, securing a judgment ordering the return of the $30,000 for the wedding and the $22,000 her mother had embezzled. She ultimately decided against criminal charges, but the courtroom confrontation had been an important turning point in her life. Marco and Amy's married life began to crack soon after returning from the honeymoon. Marco couldn't bear Amy's character and financial issues that came to light during the trial, and after just 6 months, they began living separately. Currently, divorce proceedings were underway. After the separation of her daughter and son-in-law, Doris had moved into Amy's apartment, and the two were financially struggling. Amy's flashy lifestyle couldn't continue, and Marco's alimony alone wasn't enough. The mobile phone rang, and Haley looked at the display. It was another call from her mother. The 10th call in the past 2 weeks. She took a deep breath and pressed the call button. "Hello, Mom," she said in a calm voice. "Haley." Her mother's voice sounded weak, without the arrogance of before. "Since it's Christmas. Amy and I were wondering if we could meet a little. Do you need money?" Haley asked frankly. There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. "We're family. I've learned what real family means," Haley said, gazing out the window. In the living room, Jessica and Michael were laughing together. "Even with blood ties, if you don't respect and cherish each other, you can't call it family. You and I are no longer family." "But live your own life," Haley said gently. "I've already begun walking a new path." When she hung up the phone, Michael put his arm around her shoulder. "Are you okay?" Haley smiled. "Yes, perfect." She returned to the warm time with the family she had chosen. Outside, the snow continued to fall quietly, announcing the beginning of a new year.